Yep, bip up. Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Bryan Bishop, your host for today. Music to my ears. Top 5 music biopics. Not my selection, not my idea. It was foisted upon me. And as a good host, I will accommodate the wishes of my co-host. For that, I will also bring Fanflickssions. I have an Oscar-nominated documentary, a way back assignment, Anderson, from I would call it obscure. And also the big sexy movie of the week. I'm excited to talk to you guys.
I'm excited to see both of you guys, and I was actually very excited to fight the traffic and make it over to the studio, to the kitchen studio, Bryan, today. It's been way too long. However, traffic was just way worse than normal, and you let me know that it's because good old Sleepy Joe's in town. So President Biden is actually right down the street from Bryan's place right now, which makes getting around LA nearly impossible. So that makes sense why it was like an hour and a half to just get to your place.
Yeah.
So we decided to call an audible and do a remote, which is unfortunate because I wanted to get into some stuff today, Bryan, and I think we'll just earmark this conversation and get into it next week because I definitely want to be in person when we talk about this. But some things were sent my way on the old socials, which I like to avoid. And it's still going on. It's the age-old tale of like, is Anderson seriously hate Bryan? Does he seriously hate Bryan that much?
If you're like me, to show up at my house once in a while.
What's going on? The show's too uncomfortable. I don't know if it was the same person or if it was just maybe we had a tough week last week, but like Avery, Bryan, don't make me, please. Because I mean, we can get into this right now. I don't want to though. But Avery forwarded me an email where it was a breakup email, which is always funny. Like someone who we've never talked to, never corresponded with, but they have to let us know that they've listened for a long time, but they're no longer listening because one of the parents is too mean to the other parent.
I understand that. As a battered wife, I understand that.
I really want to get into the psychology of all this, and we will. I just want to, and we will next week when we're in person, when we can want to
save.
Yes. But I want to be clear here this week, the earlier the better, about my true feelings about the man who's in front of me right now, not Avery, but Bryan. And I really,
Mr. MacBook,
I really don't care much for him. And it's nice to only have to see him once a week, and there's no way I would ever see him at all.
See it going that way.
If I didn't get
this is really going to test your resolve this week. I don't know, Wax Spots and Music biopics.
I love Bryan. I love the man, and it's a very odd situation that we are here working and being together all these years later because we are so different. But I do want to get into psychology because, yes, I do go hard on Bryan, very, very hard. But it is, look at him. It is exactly what Bryan wants, and it's what makes Bryan comfortable. And we're going to get into all of that because I have very little control. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm one of those idiots who falls for traps, and Bryan sets them left and right. You need to figure out.
Give so much credit.
Right. I want you to think in between now and next week when we talk about this some more. And I don't want you to get defensive. I just want you to really dig deep and try and figure out what it's all about. Like why you feel so comfortable being victimized. And
he's like a Hall of Fame wrestler who's great at working the crowd. Wait, really for me. Oh,
you're deflecting this onto me.
Oh, the metal chair.
Classic abuse. Classic abuser.
I'm taking responsibility for being an idiot who like just gets a little bit too fired up and gets too angry about dumb things.
You're the same with this Anderson. Look what you made me do. Look, I'm sorry. I want
to figure out why you smile. Why you smile. Why you get that little smirk when I'm getting angry at you. Why? I want to. It's we're seeing it right now. I'm not blind to it. I know that you're doing it. And I know, and here's the thing too, and we'll talk more about this next week. A lot of people who listen, they like it when I give you the business because they would too like to give you the business when they hear the things you say.
Oh, stop it.
The people who get mad at me are the people who are like, what Bryan just said was fucking rad, because that's how I think too. And they get mad at me for yelling at you, right? Avery, is this what's happening?
I do love the people who've been listening for 20 years and are still the jury is out on whether or not the vitriol is real. It's a bit like watching wrestling for 20
years.
I'm not
sure. Going, I'm not sure.
Wait, they're not actually hitting each other with chairs. There's not a real chainsaw.
In the moment, I'm mad. In the moment, I am mad. But I mean, I'm not mad like 2 minutes later.
You're like the honky tonk man. In a lot of ways.
I don't know what that means.
Is a classic heel, classic villain.
Is this a wrestling thing?
That's right.
All right. So hey, we got some
you're like the junkyard dog.
Oh, I loved him.
The JYD.
We got some business to get to. And the business is kind of sad business, but we have a listener, right? Who who's got a granddaughter who's going in for open heart surgery. Angela Clark, right?
Angie, yeah.
Yeah.
Did
So
I see this? I don't think I saw this.
No, you don't look at things, Brian.
No, but I don't think I got. I would. This would
You
ring
were
a
on the
bell.
email.
It's in,
We're on
it's
the
in the
email.
show notes.
It's
It's in the show notes.
Yeah.
I
I
don't read
requested to be
those.
put in the show notes. So I just some good thoughts out there. Hopefully Angie's been listening for a long time. She's an active listener, and to have a small child going in for open heart surgery is never what you're looking to have happen. However, that said, I have some very close friends who have had similar situations with their own kids, and a lot of the time it's to the point where it's almost routine at this point with the things that they do. I don't know the particulars of Angie's granddaughter's case, but some good vibes. Let's put some good vibes out there.
In all seriousness, I'm looking through my emails. I don't.
Ryan, no one cares about that.
But I'm
Who cares if you
well,
thought her?
fill me in. I don't know what's happening. The listeners are in my position. I wouldn't know what's going on.
I just said everything. Angie has a granddaughter who's going in for open heart surgery, and we're just if I was a praying person, I'd pray. If you're a praying person, do a little prayer for our
Angie, fingers crossed, young lady. We're pulled for you. I'm sorry to hear that.
and yeah.
All right.
My instincts are great, aren't they? Let's
really are. This is the first time hearing about it. This is
we've heard, Brian. We've heard that you haven't heard.
Well, you also have updates for the search for the Great American Search for Mitch 2.0.
That I am aware of, and I don't think Mitch is replaceable as mentioned last week. But thanks to everyone who reached out, emailed the Film Vault, got in touch with us, and volunteered their services. We've capped the entries. Yeah, I mean, like I expected to get 0, and here we are with several.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a bunch, and we actually came to our conclusions pretty quickly in the process. And it looks like we're gonna have not 1, not 2, but 3 people replacing.
That's how you know you're good at your job. And next 3 people to replace you.
3 people replacing Mitch. That's what I told myself when I broke up with a girl, or she broke up with me. I can't remember which, and then she started dating like 2 or 3 guys. And I'm like, yeah. Heartbroken. I'm like, yeah, it takes 2 or 3 guys to replace me.
That's right. I was going to take that to fill my shoes.
So yeah, the great Mitch Burns is no longer doing that side of the program for us. He had to step back because he's got a lot going on. So he is still missed, and we are going to have no Mitch for a couple weeks, and then we're going to have 3 Mitches. And it was Jordan Wolf who actually Mitch was doing the what he does early on with, and then Jordan, I owe you an apology because I could not recall your name because I suck.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's fair.
Times are tough, man. Our producer can't even afford sleeves. I mean, we need help out here.
Brian's referring to Avery's look today, which is
it's a visual joke.
Hey,
inspired by One Love. Inspired by One Love.
No fanflick.
Oh, how dare you? We have a fanfliction.
All right. Okay.
You kidding me? I did that.
It was awkward. And Avery emailed us. I'd like to take over Mrs. Duties.
You're like, well, we'll consider it. We've seen your hat's been thrown in the ring. Yes, I have my style version of a fanfliction compiled by me. Dominicus Saxon on Twitter. I saw Madam Web opening weekend, 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon. 30 people there, tops. I really need to reevaluate my life choices.
That's fair.
Ken Cunningham on Facebook.
No word on the film.
Oh, I think it speaks for itself. Ken Cunningham on Facebook. Madam Web is as bad as everyone says. Bad writing, bad ADR, no costumes except for in flash forwards, weird kind of Easter eggs. It lacked even the fun of a Venom movie, 1.5 stars.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and speaking of a little cameo action, Mitch Burns.
Oh, he's
Facebook.
back. You couldn't stay away.
No. He's now on the other side of the fence. He's sitting in the dugout club, drinking his pop.
That's right.
Mitch Burns on Facebook. I saw Madam Web yesterday, and I remember almost nothing. Bland garbage. Funny, this movie made Dakota Johnson fire her agents.
That's great.
Big Dweeb on Twitter. Lisa Frankenstein, better than I expected. Set in 1989, so the aesthetic was fun. Fun throwback. Well written for what it was.
Do we have a? You probably don't, but we have a listener score on Madam Web. But is it Madame or Madam?
I'm not as fleet of foot as Mitch Burns.
Geez.
So you got to sell it for what I got.
The show's falling apart. The stitches on your sleeves.
I blame Mitch. Adam Kaplan on Facebook. I saw The Greatest Night in Pop. It was awful. It's just a documentation of famous musicians singing in a room and jerking off about each other.
Well, that's
Surprised-
true, but I don't think that's awful.
I'm surprised it's not Brian's favorite movie of all time.
It's up there.
Zoltan Verkner on Facebook. Bottoms is on Prime Video now. So I watched it. Smart. I love you guys. I really do, but you don't know how to not oversell a movie.
Oh,
It was okay. 3
No.
stars. I watched this and Strays the same day, and both had about the same amount of laughs.
I disagree. I've seen both, and I disagree.
I hate to go all Andy Serkis and Black Panther on you, but the best part of Bottoms was casting Marshawn Lynch as their teacher.
That may be true.
Monte Aaron on Facebook saw Bottoms. I'm a few months behind on the podcast, so this film has been talked about a lot. And Anderson did not oversell it.
Oh, conflicting reports from the front lines.
This film is great. There are a lot of clever choices being made, and that they're satirizing in the genre. I want to go back and watch it again because every frame is filled with subtle jokes from posters, costumes, dry erase boards, lockers, etc. And lastly, Christopher Bennett, Little TV Vault, True Detective Night Country, so freaking bad. I know it's not a movie. Sorry.
I'm glad we did that.
He kind of echoes my thoughts.
Hmm.
Hot
What is
start, great aesthetic, not the best finish.
No one cares about that. Did you just come across or see a positive review for Madam Web?
No,
From our
not
listeners?
not a single one. Apparently,
Yeah.
according to one of our listeners, I can't. Let's see if I can give them credit. Yes, according to Chris O'Brien on Big Dweeb on Twitter. He also said conservatively 80% of this movie was ADR.
Oh my.
Wonder
You know what? Gio, please email Anderson your detailed thoughts on Madam Web, and he
I'm-
could then synthesize those for us.
I'm I'm assuming that he didn't like it much because usually when there's any kind of opinions that are on both sides of the fence, he'll usually rally his own thoughts and try and defend the movie. And I heard not a peep. Now this might be stirring something. This conversation, what I'm saying right now, might be stirring something inside of him, and he possibly. Please do not. I don't care about anyone's thoughts about that movie. I saw the trailer. I have a very good idea of what it is, and it's not for me. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Hey, quick apology. I record when we do remotes. I record through my end, and I'm not in a place where I can silence my phone or just put on the do not disturb because of all this stuff going on. But it does chime through, and it just happened already. And I think it's gonna be one of those mornings. So I probably could possibly be like losing some business right now with because I have all sorts of. I'm waiting to hear back about 3 different things, and I just put on the do not disturb. So I'm
Andy has millions on the table for you ungrateful fucks. So
Yeah, seriously.
It sucks. It sucks. I don't know why. And I'm not good with tech. I should be able to just turn it off my computer, and I keep quitting. Such boomer moments, I know, but I keep quitting like messages. Like I have messages totally disabled on my laptop, and it still somehow powers through, like the great Phil Hendry used to do when they put him on hold, and he would break through the hold and get back on air. That's what's happening with my messaging, and it's upsetting.
There's
So-
got to be a simple way to turn off audio notifications on the desktop. Yeah,
There's got to be, right, Brian?
it seemed very likely, but what do I know?
No, because if I turn down the sound, now look what happens. Talk to me.
Hello, 5, 4,
Oh,
3,
I can
2,
still hear you. Hell yeah! Woo! Figured it out. I thought I wouldn't be able to hear you either.
Look how gleeful you are.
Now here's the problem. Here's the rub. Good chance
that?
this will still make it.
Come through.
Yeah.
Do you want me to text you right now?
No, do not. I'm good. All right, let's
I
move
saw-
forward with the
I
program.
saw 2 international films.
Okay.
I'm a very learned man, very smart. I saw Perfect Days.
I don't know what that is.
Son of a bitch! You heard that? Y'all heard it, right? We all
I
heard.
heard it. Well, no, well, to be fair,
I just heard you. I didn't hear the chiming.
yeah, to be fair, I heard nothing last week, all the complaints about your dinging or whatever.
I think it's just on my end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
it's
don't think I heard it either.
Okay.
So Avery, it was going highbrow on us. What happened?
Yeah, I saw little Vim Vendors Perfect Days about a janitor in Japan. I'm not entirely sure who this is for. I don't know who I would recommend this to. I also had in preparation for this because I had not seen a Vim Vendors. I saw Paris, Texas, which holy fucking shit blew me away.
Okay. Yeah.
Blew
Yeah.
me away.
Really?
He's a very quiet, slow director, but when it works, it works. It just doesn't.
Oh my God.
work.
And it was Perfect Days was an enjoyable watch. It was quiet and gorgeous to look at. Uh, if you're a Wim Wenders fan, I guess take a dive into this. If you're a big fan of architecture, I think there's a lot here for you. If you're not a big fan of the quiet subtitled movies, this is really not gonna give you much at all. I don't think you need to run out to theaters. I think you can catch this streaming. Pretty artsy fartsy. A lot of art house shots. Felt more art house than Paris, Texas in a lot of ways in terms of the way it was shot.
I passed the Paris, Texas house quite a bit on the 210 freeway, and I actually drove up there to find it. And it's
really
real to be like in front of the actual house because it has such a structure to it.
Highly recommend that. I believe it's streaming either on Criterion or HBO, one of the two. I would recommend seeing that over Perfect Days. And I also saw the Oscar nominated over Anatomy of a Fall, The Taste of Things.
Mm-hmm.
The Tastiest of things.
Is that best international feature
Yes,
nominee?
That the Frenchies submitted in lieu of Anatomy of a Fall. And it's I think it might be a masterpiece. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it's for a ton of people. It's like a happier version of Phantom Thread, but with food and less danger. It is at times heartbreaking. If you are a foodie, this movie is absolutely for you.
What's it called?
The Taste of
Things. Where did you stream it?
I did not stream it. I saw it in theaters.
Oh, it's in theaters?
In theaters, yes. In honor of Oscar season. The acting was absolutely phenomenal. And again, the attention to detail for the food was tremendous. So I would imagine there's a lot here for Brian. I don't know if Andy's running out to see this one. It's
on my short. I have like half a dozen movies I still got to see before the Vaulties, and this one's been on the list for I don't know 3 months now. I'm just dreading it.
It feels like it would be homework. It feels like it would be a slog, but there's a lot of heart here. There's also it's also pretty funny. There's some bromance going on here. A lot of boys being boys. And I finally saw you know how in Succession they're joking about eating the quail with the napkin over their head.
Yeah,
you get to see that happen.
Oh, okay, I'm in.
You get to see foodies experience this and describe what it is, and the French really revel in their own food. I'll
make sure it's on the menu.
There it is. So I don't know if this is for everybody. It is entirely in French, and it is. I think it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Ooh.
Taste of Things. Let me see the runtime for
you.
That's
a problem.
2 hours 15 minutes, and it's I wouldn't say it feels slow, but it definitely takes its time. It's sort of a patient movie, but there's a lot more fun and a lot more pop in this. If you're not sold in the first 20 minutes, I don't know if this is for you, but man, I don't even eat meat, and I was salivating at all the incredible food that they're making. So they really did their homework. Apparently they had food historians at the time. It's effectively about a chef, I think in the late 1800s, who's referred to as the Napoleon of cuisine. And it's about his process, what makes him so great. And it really digs into that. So unlike, what was the movie we saw earlier? Unlike Maestro, where you don't really get why this man's at the top of his craft, they don't spend a lot of time on that. This is almost exclusively about that. So
do you see him doing everything but cooking?
No, there's a lot.
It's almost exclusively cooking. So a lot of food porn, a lot of jowled men, but delightful jowled men enjoying said food. And I'd say check it out.
All right. I love jowls.
What was that?
Turn of the
I love jowls, so this sounds good.
You're in.
What year is this take place? It's
late. I want to say it's like 1880s in France. I can imagine Anderson watching this and just imagining Brian as one of the guys.
No. I'll imagine you because I heard you talking about it. But
these are my people.
I always like her. Julia Binoche is great. He seems to like. I'm concerned that he's going to really bother me throughout this movie. Just going off the trailer.
I don't think he will.
That's one of the reasons why I haven't dove in yet.
I mean, she's obviously extremely likable. I wasn't bothered by him. I really enjoyed his performance. I think it's really strong, really well done. And if you like food and go to restaurants, you consider yourself a foodie, absolutely this is a must see. And make sure you do not go into this hungry, or you will be suffering, because it is
you got like a hot dog or something at the theater. Is that
that'll tide you.
Oh, this is a good soup in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this
soup
would
in a movie in honor of the great Florence.
Some French onion soup in there.
All right, let's get to Fanflickssions, And Brian, where would you like to start? Would you like to start?
Let's confess the flicks we've seen in the past week. And where to start? Well, there is the big sexy. I have an Oscar-nominated documentary grenade that I fell on for all of you. And we also have our assigned movie, question mark? I don't know what to call it.
It was a made for TV television movie. Yeah.
Well, let's start with number one, as in One Love. Bob Marley, One Love was seen by all three of us, I believe. 2024 film in theaters now. Directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green. He's the director of King Richard. Anderson, do you ever get around to seeing King Richard?
Yeah,
last year?
I saw King Richard.
Or 2 years ago, as it was. King. I have Kingsley, but I think it's Kingsley. Whatever. Kingsley Benadier plays the titular Bob Marley, and his wife Rita is played by Lashana Lynch. Shows 43% Rotten Tomatoes. This is in theaters now. I was shocked at the collective hysteria that took over the show, and in fact, it was decided that we'd be seeing this, even though I don't anticipate any of us are actually genuinely looking forward to it. Maybe ironically.
Well,
but,
considering there was not a single fanfliction involving One Love.
Yeah, that is weird. I'm surprised by that.
Point.
I was surprised too. I think maybe they're waiting to use this like the canary in the coal mine.
Well, I mean, we all knew what we were getting into, I think.
I loved it.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No.
You son of a bitch.
Why would I see this?
I thought
you saw this bullshit. You saw this.
No, I didn't.
You saw this. There's no way.
Oh, you rat motherfucker. You almost had me. All right, One Love.
Oh, that would have been great, though, to do that to. But we got to do that to Brian one day.
That would be good. Neither one of us saw it. I just resent his photo that he sent to me.
But like be indignant about like, no, I didn't see that. Why would I see that?
You fucking idiot. You fell for that?
Okay, we've been tortured by this trailer for quite some time. So
I felt like we owed it to the movie to buy a ticket after we had talked poorly about it for so long.
And after it had given us so much delight before every other movie I had seen.
Unfortunately, the part in the trailer that I was looking forward to most did not make the movie with the long pregnant.
Yes, it's not in there. It's not. Most of that interview is not in there, including the Bob, they tried to kill your family. None of that's in there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
This movie is not even about the peace concert, really.
No, it's not.
Really do anything but play peace concerts?
Good point. I have a lot of good to say about this movie, so let's do it. Yeah.
Hey, can we start at the beginning? Like, what is your guys' relationship with Bob Marley? And
hey, Brian, where should we start?
I'm asking you a question.
From the beginning.
The line from the movie, a very
from at the beginning. Yes, you got me there. So the beginning in this case. Well, Anderson, what is your thoughts on?
I know
Bob Marley?
very little about Bob Marley. Obviously, we know all the songs that are foisted upon us constantly. Throughout our lives, you can't go through life without hearing Bob Marley and being familiar with his big hits. That said, I always thought of him as a very sleepy older man who would sit on stools, maybe armchairs, and strum guitars, possibly play a drum, and sing through clouds of smoke. And I learned a whole lot with this.
You learned it right?
You learned that some of that is accurate.
Okay, full disclosure. My review, of which I'm going to do with you two guys, is going to be far different because most of my review is going to involve the man who was sitting next to me. Okay. And he had a lot to say. And at one point he was upset with the volume of the movie because he couldn't say what he wanted to say to the rotund woman sitting next to him.
So drowning him out.
Yeah, like he actually looked up at the screen annoyed at one point. I was watching him. He was sitting like I was sitting, and here's a little tip: if
I looked at the screen annoyed several times.
My theater was full. It was like 80% capacity last night on a random Tuesday night.
That's odd because I saw it the day it came out on Friday at 11 a.m. and there were 8-10 people in the theater.
Yeah, and I saw it right after. This is probably about 15-20 for me.
I saw it 8:00 last night, Tuesday night, and it was a whole lot of people. I would say 80% full. So when what I did is I didn't like my seat, So what you do is after the credits roll, after the credits are, I mean, not the trailers, after the trailers are done, you're allowed to go sit in the handicap seats. So that's what I did. So I was sitting in my handicap seat, and then there's like 2 empty spaces, 4 wheelchairs that weren't there, and then I had the rotund woman and her rotund. Now I got to paint a picture. This guy looked like, Dante from Clerks and from Mallrats. He looked like an aged version of that. Like he's a large, heavy set man with a goatee, and he's probably greasy. It was hard to tell in the dark,
Sure.
but he looked, think Dante, older Dante from that. And yeah, he literally looked up at the screen like pissed because it was so loud and he couldn't scream his comment to the woman sitting next to him. And I was very annoyed at first, and then I started just writing them down because I was kind of liking some of his comments.
This guy's onto something.
Can
Yeah.
I hear what he said?
So first of all, the shooting that occurs, right? And she gets shot in the head.
In the first 10 minutes.
He gets shot at point blank range in her car and returns to play a concert with her head freshly bandaged.
And the
Large-
neurosurgeon tells us that she is saved because of her dreadlocks.
Yeah. So large Dante guy says, "Oh, the dreadlock saved her. The dreadlock saved her." Like, right? Okay. And then at another point, Bob is saying something along the lines of it's when they were working with that new guitar guy. The guitar.
Yeah,
the
that guy
British
was
guy.
sweet with the Jerry curls.
And Bob Marley had him like lay
What
off
you know about Jah Rastafari? I'm
Some of the-
working with a Stevie Wonder.
some of the psychedelic stuff. He has to take it back a little bit. And he liked that. He's like, oh, he was right too. He was right. Every time a song came on, this man truly in his brain transported himself to a live Bob Marley concert and was singing along. His arms were up at one point, guys. He was singing at the screen louder than the screen.
Normally I wouldn't go to
life
a
is for
theater
people.
like that, but it was enjoyable.
Every time there was a date on the screen, which was often, he would scream the date to the older, who must have been his mom. Apparently, I guess she couldn't read specifically numbers, because every time there was a date, he had to let her know what the date was. 1977, Mom. It's 1977. My favorite comment by far was, he says, this is like halfway through the movie. We've already seen the co-lead plenty of times with her Star of David. He says, I think she might be Jewish, because she had a Star of David around her neck. Yeah, so that was my experience.
Oh,
It sounds enjoyable.
we should have got his review.
I think we just heard it.
Yeah.
I tried to record him at the end, but the music was pretty loud. I didn't even check to see if it came through. But yeah, he didn't really take much away from the movie. This is exactly what I was expecting from this movie, and I think it wouldn't have been so such a swing and a miss if the Bob Marley, the guy, the lead, was a little more Bob Marley-esque. This is what you'd expect in a commercial or a TV movie or
Or an
maybe
SNL sketch.
SNL sketch. This version of Bob Marley works. He's great. He was so likable. I really liked this guy.
I was surprised, and the accent, you get used to it in about the first 10 minutes, and
Yeah,
it
you would
doesn't
not.
feel as out of place as, because in the trailer he's talking to the white guy who's like, Bob, you're doing and he's like, my life is for people. It sounds insane when he's just talking to a white guy, but in context of the other people using Jamaican accents, it sounds much more reasonable. I don't know how spot on it is. I think the woman is crushing it. I think she's nailing it. From
Very
what I
good.
read online.
If there's a credit to
Shauna
go
Lynch.
around, I think she did her best.
So
You
he
know-
wasn't as distracting as I was afraid he would be.
And we know Lashana Lynch most recently from the James Bond movie, right? She's kind of a James Bond's counterpart in the most recent James Bond.
Oh, okay.
And
Yes.
I really liked his performance. If he was doing an original character, I'd be like, that guy fucking rules, and I want to hang out with that guy. Just his smile was great, like his vibe. They really, obviously worked him up. His own Bob Marley's son was like, Ziggy was adamant about this guy playing his father. And a lot of the family members, surviving Bob Marley family members, were producers and worked on this. And, so I was afraid, knowing that, I was afraid that it was going to be really, they're going to soft pedal some of, the darker side, which you knew was going to be there with the philandering and whatnot. And just, it was very soft pedaled at first, but then they ended up spending a scene on it. They spent one scene showing Bob Marley lose his shit and beat the fuck out of somebody and have a fight with his lady and talking about all of the extracurricular activity he's doing with the other ladies. But that wasn't That
and
was
the children that have resulted from that.
the children, and also just the lack of interaction. You know, if you're believing this movie, like he never spent more than maybe 10 minutes with his own kids. Like it was just all about him and what he was doing. So that's the
Well, he sent them away.
downside of this. But I felt like I owed it to the movie. So my next Flickfession, which we'll get to after we talk more about this one, obviously, is I watched a documentary that's available on Netflix right now called "Who Shot the Sheriff," and that's about the real Bob Marley. So I
Interesting.
Music doc to the show, you son of a bitch.
What's that?
Are you bringing a music doc to the show, you son of a bitch?
I am, but it's short. It's like less than an hour, so I'll allow it. But
I was surprised this movie does a bait and switch where the entire trailer seems like it's working up to this peace concert and the assassination attempt, all that happens in like the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the hour of this movie is about the making of the album Exodus. And they're not even in Jamaica. They're in London and Europe, which I really enjoyed that part of it. I really liked them working out the music. I liked seeing them engage in the craft. The music obviously is great, and that's a part that I really enjoyed. So I really liked the middle part of this movie, and then the third act, once they're debating going back to Jamaica, kind of drags and loses me. But I really did enjoy a lot of this movie, a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
I liked
it lacks
way
a
more than I thought I would.
driving.
Go ahead.
Well, it lacks a driving narrative, and like you said, a compelling plot or whatever. They're following a lot of threads that who cares. I agree with you in the sense that they front loaded it with a lot of dramatic stuff. That said, considering how little I like Bob Marley and his music and the whole culture of Bob Marley's reggae music, I think I like this more than I thought I would, which is not, it's damning with faint praise, but it's bad but not awful, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of it, I do like the music, and I've not always been a huge Marley fan, but I have come around the last few years where I do like reggae. And of course, the culture, as you have it out here, is annoying, but this kind of helped me understand it more.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it felt authentic. And it had the thing where that Anderson always hates is where they don't do the smoking. They had the smoking in there.
Well, it
Pervasive.
wasn't cigarettes, though. It was weed constantly. No one's
I mean, but still, it would have been
A lot of
ludicrous if they didn't include that. I mean, he's literally smoking a joint as he's driving his kids to school.
If you made a movie, like I think that they redid Dudley Moore movie, right? What was that one? Arthur, and like he wasn't an alcoholic or something. That was the entire movie.
That's the whole movie.
So if they made a Bob Marley biopic and he wasn't smoking weed throughout, there's no way I show up. There's no way I even give this movie a chance. I'm just furious with this movie because that was very inauthentic. This movie was very inauthentic in many, many ways, but there was no way they would dare to go that way. But yeah, I was not giving it credit because I didn't realize that he was such a jazzerciser. I didn't realize that he was only 37 years old when he died. There was a lot that I didn't know about this man that I do know now.
I didn't know he was half white.
Didn't know that.
How I'd never heard that.
And I wouldn't have learned that from the documentary that I watched either, but I did learn a whole lot more with the documentary and I saw the inauthenticity as well as the authenticity. And there's actually we'll get to the documentary in a minute.
I want to hear about the documentary.
Are we done talking about One Love? Because I
think there's probably, if you like the music, I think this is worth seeing. I don't think you need to run out and see this in theaters, but when this inevitably becomes a streaming, I do think if you're a Bob Marley fan,
you know what?
There's enough to like here to it's worthwhile. And it's only an hour 45. That was another thing that I give it credit for, that it didn't overstay its welcome.
I agree with the spirit of what you're saying, which is for me, much like Bob Marley's music, this is something you could have on and half pay attention to in the background and get enough out of it that it's worth your time.
Very much so, yeah.
But I would not seek this out.
My favorite scene that didn't involve Kingsley Ben Adir is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is where they first kind of get their first record deal, right? And they're in Jamaica. And
yes.
Crazy record.
That song is great.
That song is great. And it's not on the soundtrack. Like I wanted to add that to my playlist and hear it a whole bunch and like add that to, and I don't know what song it was.
It's simmered down. I can send it to you.
Yeah, well, you send that to me because I love that song. That's my favorite song in
right.
the movie, and it was the song that kind of put them on the map. And that was very well done, and it was very funny how the engineer was like very anti it, and then they pan over to show how he into that song. He was really
just
laugh
dancing on the table. Yeah, that was great.
That was a great scene, and I also like I think it was The Clash, right, was playing in there.
Yes, I knew you would like that when they go to London and they're Bob Marley's watching the Clash play.
Yeah, but they didn't have the Clash credited anywhere, and the Clash isn't on the soundtrack. Here I am doing the Andy Serkis thing, like, oh, I love the movie, but they don't put the Clash on the soundtrack.
That was very enjoyable, is seeing their take on these crazy white guys making music at the same time. They're contemporaries, and them trying to figure out what they're doing, and that was enjoyable.
The band and the A&R guy were the best part of the movie by far.
But I was worried that like they were going to soft pedal everything, because like there was this scene where he's on the phone with his lady, and there's a girl in the background kind of waiting for him, and I'm like, are they going to address this, or is that all they're doing? It's just showing that there is a girl back there that he's obviously stooping. What am I, an old Jewish man?
Oh, yeah,
it's obviously rogering, you know. And then they don't get to it, but then they get to it, and like I said, they spent one scene showing him losing his shit. Other than that, though, every time I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but every time he's doing anything that is competitive, he's winning. Every time, whether it's soccer or a fist fight or foosball, it's just always him playing his bandmates and winning. And it's like, do we need that? Do we need to see that he is superior to all of these people? I don't know.
Okay, well, I think you include that in the movie and get away with that. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
And there's just like a montage of him winning the soccer, and then
I think
like,
if you're making a movie that involves one person, you can feature that stuff. There's no problem with that.
How much foosball's in your movie, Brian?
I mean, now maybe less, but enough.
All right. The documentary, remastered "Who Shot the Sheriff" is the official title of it. It's less than an hour. I wanted to watch this before. I'm glad I watched it after, because I think it would have made me like this movie even less, because of the inaccuracies. And I probably would have been excited and looking forward to the climax of One Love. I finally understand what One Love is all about as well.
Oh, really?
I've seen douchebags saying One Love and like pounding their chest and hugging and whatnot for quite some time.
Are you going to become one of them now?
No. But I'm like talking like flat billers from the OC love to do the One Love thing. And it's like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? But I get it, because the two opposing sides over there in Jamaica during all this political strife, and he was just trying to, say like music brings everyone together and there's only one love, and all. It makes more sense to me.
Okay, his music is for the people.
It's for the people who aren't politically I mean, politics. It's such a complex thing that we could spend another hour on. Maybe we will on the After Disaster. But it's like, okay, I get it. Like, your music isn't one side or the other, but I mean, one side or the other is going to choose the fate of an entire nation, and you probably should be invested. Maybe not violently invested, but I mean, you need to have a voice about how you think the people should live their lives freely or not, right? So.
Yeah, I would imagine he had political thoughts, leanings. It'd be crazy just to be like, I don't care either side. Let's just have peace.
Yeah, and this is a free concert. So, what ended up happening during this time that the movie does not get into at all, and after it's kind of a perfect storm with me, because I just finished Chaos, which is the 16-hour audiobook.
Enjoyable.
And what's most shocking about that is just what our institutions were doing back then, and how scary it is to imagine. Of course, they're still doing it now. We just don't know about it. But the CIA and the FBI, get this, guys, they like to meddle and fuck around and try and control things. And I think they're probably doing that more than ever before right now, because of social media and the internets and all that. It's not just foreign, but here as well. But back then, they were really worried about, obviously, the spread of communism and socialism. And that was a big thing that was happening in Jamaica. They were afraid, the powers that be in the United States were afraid that Jamaica was going to turn into the next Cuba. So they didn't get into any of this in the movie, but there were all sorts of theories that it was actually the CIA and or just we'll leave it CIA put the hit on Marley, and they were trying to get him removed because they were afraid of him swaying one way or the other. They knew that he was such a powerful voice over there.
I'd heard something similar, which is the CIA had rumored to inject his toe with cancer.
The KGB apparently was watching him as well. So the CIA and the KGB were keeping close tabs on those Rastafari's.
You know you're doing something right.
And when they document him and by the way, Bob Marley was his own guy, and he was not what we saw in the movie. Like, you rarely see him smile. He's a pretty serious guy.
Oh.
And he's also much shorter than Kingsley is. Like, he was like 5'6", I think. A small little guy. And
Kingsley's built like a middle linebacker.
He looked angry more than he looked happy, and the version of him that we get in this movie is a very happy-go-lucky guy who's all for the peace, right? But the most amazing thing that happened at the end of the documentary that didn't make the movie was he gets up and he does that, homecoming concert on stage, and he brings the two political heads together, the actual like prime ministers that were running against each other that were causing all this strife, the two white guys, which by the way, it's fucking bizarre. And it's not in the movie, but watching these white, like they look like they're English, like prime ministers.
Right. No, they show the actual footage during the credits.
Yeah, they
show that at the
hear them though. Do you hear them?
No, you don't hear them.
Thick Jamaican accents. It's fucking bizarre.
That's wild.
Strange. I've never seen an old white man with jowls and like gray sideburns with the Jamaican Rastafari accent, or it's lingering there. So he gets up, and also his movements on stage are so different than what we saw in the movie. His movements are
they're iconic to an extent. Bob Marley has his own way of moving,
gyrating, and like a lot of like almost like he's possessed, and I didn't see any of that in the movie, and I'm surprised that they didn't try and tap into that.
I agree that is almost as like it's a Joe Cocker-esque. It's so specific to Bob Marley.
Why not just try and make that happen? Maybe they did, and
I'm sure they tried, and it just didn't work with whatever he was doing.
So he brings up Michael Manley and Edward Seaga, all right, who are the two opposing. One was for capitalism, one was for socialism. It's the same old fucking story. And neither one of these old white men who are essentially running the country or trying to run the country had ever really spoken or shared a moment together. And he brought them up on stage at that concert at the end and had them like hold hands, and he held his hand up with the it was a really powerful, great moment. And then he starts doing his gyration, and fucking lightning like almost hit the stage, and they had that documented. And I'm sure they did some sweetening and editing, but like lightning hit the fucking stage really soon right after that, almost to say like God was like in favor of this, the unity, and none of that.
I feel like that's the opposite message.
None of that made the movie. And I think maybe it would have just been too much. Like people would have been like, all right, this movie's ridiculous. And now it's just completely absurd.
Now it's ridiculous.
The final piece that I learned in the documentary, and this is the saddest part of all, but he was all about the people, right, and bringing peace back, and he thought that his return would help bring peace back to Jamaica.
I heard this.
Did you? What happened?
Well, no, I heard this. The movie and the trailer specifically hammered this point many times.
Right after the concert, like days after the concert, the violence escalated to heights not ever before seen, and that was due in large part to the United States smuggling lots of arms in the actual amplifier and equipment for the concert.
What did you know it? Sweet irony.
What the fuck? So yeah, I recommend Who Shot the Sheriff.
How long is it? More or less?
58 minutes, I think, 56.
Nice.
Pretty goddamn good.
Speaking of brisk, fast 50-something-minute movies, you want to talk about the film we're assigned?
Should we take a break?
Yes. Quick break, yes.
I'm going to keep talking. You guys do whatever you want. All right, break time. Coming back with Evening Primrose after this. Hey, we're back. Time to go over some more movies that we saw. We were assigned, Anderson, a film, I guess you could call it that. Evening Primrose. I don't have my notes in front of me. Who assigned this to us?
Jeffrey Covey.
Yes, there it is.
But he did give me some of his notes.
Jeffrey Covey assigned us Evening Primrose. I'm going to go ahead and call this semi-obscure. Never heard of it. And it is a little, not difficult, but it's available in limited supply. It is a 1966 TV movie directed by Paul Bogart, starring Anthony Perkins. Is it Charmian Carr, who you might know as the eldest sister in the Von Trapp family. Here she is a little more grown up. This is streaming on YouTube and Google Play, and I think that might be it. This was an ABC Stage 67 production, which was, I guess, a series of films or short films that they aired in 1966. There's a TV film that clocks in at 51 minutes. And did you talk to Jeffrey?
No, I already stated that I have not. He did leave me some notes, though, which I have read. I'll try and pepper him into what we're talking about here. But
I'm mostly curious, why on earth was this assigned to us? This just feels like a very random selection.
it means something to Jeff. Free. He likes the movie. It's got a little bit of a cult following, and he wants to hear us two fools talk about it.
All right. That's a good answer. Satisfying.
He said his exact wording is he thought I might enjoy having it in my noggin, or I guess that goes for both of us. So, what a weird show to get on TV in the 60s, especially that crushing ending, which it does have a bit of a crushing ending. This is all from Jeffrey. It packs so much mythology into a tiny hour. It's like Demon with a glass hand. I don't get the reference because I'm not as smart as you there, Jeffrey. I thought you might appreciate the plan. I'm not going to get into that because that's some spoilers. So, okay, I read that. So, it's essentially a hour-long
It's a little Twilight Zone-y.
Twilight Zone. And I think in 66, this is a couple years, this is civil rights movement is very, very fresh still. And I think this was, I don't know, were they allowed to show interracial couples at this time? Because I mean, this would have made so much more sense if she was black or if he was black, right?
Oh, it's funny you mention that because I kept observing how awkward it was that I don't think the network would allow them to kiss on screen on the lips because they were not married, perhaps. Like he kept passionately kissing her on the cheek.
Okay, so here's the story. It's actually
really upsetting.
Sorry to cut you off, but that could be because Anthony Perkins is gay and he didn't want to have to actually kiss the girl.
I doubt very much that.
I doubt that as well.
Was it weird seeing Norman Bates? We have mentioned this as a musical.
Yeah, let's talk about what this movie is. It's not the only musical I'll be talking about today, by the way.
Oh, tell me more.
So here's the movie, and actually, I had a friend who did this, and I thought my friend was being quite original, but apparently, like in 1966, they already had a movie about a man who was doing this, where he was a poet. Anthony Perkins is a poet in was it New York? It's hard to tell. He's on a busy street somewhere. He goes into a department store. He hides in some kind of display behind a sheet, waits for the guard to close everything up after hours, and then he
Very
comes
casual closing,
and he starts singing about how excited he is to be living now in this spot. This is going to be his perfect place to write, get away from his friends, get away from the world, and just focus on his craft, which is poetry. And
before we go too far, I should point out that this is Words and Music by Stephen Sondheim, West Side Story, of course, and he was already a pretty big deal at this point. So I guess it was somehow notable that Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates would be singing the lyrics of Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah, so it was almost stunt casting back in the day, but now we can absolutely see it, right? And he's doing his thing, and he's dancing and singing all over. It's black and white as well, all over this department store. And then a guard comes and he hides, pretends to be a mannequin next to a mannequin, who is clearly a real life human being. And then once the guard walks away, the other mannequin breaks his pose and starts talking to Anthony Perkins about how he's not the only one who's doing this. There's a bunch of them. It's a whole society that does this, and they live in there at night or forever. And he has to be, ordained. He has to be chosen to be a part of them. Part of the group, or else the dark men will be called.
The dark men.
Yes, and he'll be taken away.
That's right. So it's got a little bit of Mannequin, a little bit of Toy Story. I mean, it's the sense that like, oh, these people are they have a thriving culture at night, but during the daytime they are frozen to the world.
Yes, and so like before I forget, like I had a friend who was homeless when I was a teenager, and a very, very good friend of mine, but he went homeless because his dad sent him to rehab and then moved away. His dad moved away, literally moved, and then my friend got out of rehab, came back home, but to an empty house.
Wow.
So he was homeless for around 3 to 6 months, and he stayed on top of a supermarket for a while. He became a Nazi skinhead for a while. He went through some things. And he also lived in the Robinson's May for a while. He would just sneak in, and he would stay just like Anthony Perkins does here. And he would wait for the guard to close everything down. He would sleep in the beds and then make it in the morning and hide again and come back out.
Honestly, if the other option is literally being on the street, that's not a bad life.
He did it a number of times, and this is before like censors and whatnot. So he got away with it. I think now you would get busted pretty quick. So he's back to Anthony Perkins and back to Evening Primrose. He's invited in, and he meets a girl who is down. They keep her down in the bargain department, right? Because she's not
literally the bargain basement.
And it's never really fully explained why she's such an outcast and a pariah, which is a problem.
So she was brought there when she was 6, she claims, right?
She was brought there when she was very young, but they're going on and on about how she doesn't have the skin tone. And it was written for like a minority. I really think that's what this story, I think,
Yeah,
was
that
supposed
it
to
was
be.
odd to cast such a lily white lead.
And they're talking about breeding and how she's not one of them. It's just really super racist stuff. But she's like as white as it looks like she's
There's
out
a
of
Von Trapp.
yes, it's what she looks like. So it didn't add up. But of course, he immediately falls in love with her and he wants to change the entire system. It's like his first day there, and he's already rocking the boat so intensely, which bothers me. It's like assimilate a little bit or like hang out and try and figure out the playing field before you immediately start saying, no, that's not how things should be. And but he's following his heart, and that's the movie. I mean,
I really wish we had done this on top 5 creepy couples because they were icky.
A little creeps. But I mean, they were icky in the sense, Brian, that they were so of their time. When he found out that she's been there since she was 6, so she doesn't know shit about the world, his excitement to be able to mansplain the entire world to her was palpable. He was like, I can't wait to tell you everything about
I identify with that.
I know you do.
That was my favorite part of the film.
But it was interesting. I was concerned when he started singing for sure, and got more concerned as he continued to sing. But ultimately, it was a pretty decent Twilight Zone episode with some, I guess, some decent numbers.
It was profoundly weird. I kept thinking how strange the whole thing was. And honestly, I could have seen it being like a feature-length film, like with a little more, a little more meat on the bone. What was the? We can't really talk about it. The ending. Is it open to interpretation? What happened there?
No, the Darkman. Okay, but I don't know how many people are actually going to take our lead. You can rent this.
That's a really good point.
You can rent this like I did for $1.99 on YouTube, or you can just watch it on YouTube for free, like I didn't do. So if you'd like to take a dive and see some early Sondheim work and Anthony Perkins, and there's actually a couple when he's trying to prove that he's a poet, and then he has to read his poem. That was pretty funny.
It was funny. It was weird to see. It would be like watching Anthony Hopkins do this. Like he's a great actor, of course.
Well, you only know him. Are you saying that no one knows him as anything other than Norman?
No. But yeah, I don't think you can look at either one without at least having in the back of your mind that one iconic role they played, right?
A little bit. I mean, I'm able to get past that with who'd you just bring?
Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, yes.
No, whenever I see him, no matter how good and great he is, and the father or whatever, I'm always like, Hannibal Lecter.
No, I'm able to get past it because he's that good. I'm able.
I wish I was as principled as you.
It's not principled. It's just I'm able to. You know how they have those like things where it's like you can see like a woman's face, but then if you keep looking at it, you can see like a bird. I'm able to see a couple different things there, Brian.
You see the bird?
You're not able.
All right, thanks, Jeffrey Covey. This was one of the weirder selections we've had to watch, so I would have never. I don't know that I would ever have thought about this.
Never have seen this movie or heard of this.
No,
movie.
Thought about this movie.
That's why I love this when like we get some really deep pulls from our listeners who would like to like us to bring them to the program, and I really appreciated the sub 1 hour runtime. That was much appreciated.
If 51 minutes did breeze by, I will say that. Do you want to hear about an Oscar-nominated documentary?
I can't wait, Bri.
I saw The Eternal Memory. The Eternal Memory is nominated for Best Documentary this year's Oscars. A 2023 movie directed by, I believe it's Maite Alberdi. If you know her, that name, she directed The Mole Agent, which I know you liked even more than I. Although you liked more than I did. No?
I liked parts of it a lot, but it left me wanting a whole lot more and wishing that it was way better.
How interesting. All right, this it features Augusto Gonzaga and Paulina Holly Urita. They are a real-life couple in the country of Chile, and he is suffering, we learn from the opening scene, suffering the early stage, well, I guess the early stage, mid stages of dementia, Alzheimer's to be specific, and it is about their love and her helping him through the tough times of this disease. 93% Rotten Tomatoes. This is streaming on Paramount Plus. This also won the World Cinema Documentary Grand Jury Prize at last year's Sundance Film Festival. Opens up with the production logo from MTV Documentaries or MTV Films, which threw me. I did not expect this to be a MTV movie, but here we are. Yes. So Augusto, is a notable journalist from Chile, and we see a lot of old footage of him covering, war footage, battle footage. He's a man on the street for a lot of this stuff, and she is a successful, notable Chilean actress, and they met along the way and fell in love and had kids and the whole thing. And this is a very good documentary, much better than not better, more palatable than I anticipated. I will say heavy, as you can imagine. This is watching a guy wither away from Alzheimer's right in front of us, as his very loyal and doting wife cares for him, but there's only so much she can do. Like, starts off, he's so, I don't know, Anderson, if you experienced with your own dad going through this, or at first when we see the guy, he's so relentlessly upbeat. He's almost like cheerful all the time. Like, she's like, "Oh, you have 2 kids." Like, really? What are their names? Like that. Like, he's so delighted to learn that he has kids, and he's so delighted to learn that his wife and he have been married or together for so many years. It was an odd place to start, and then he eventually just starts degrading. Like, at a certain point, midway through the film, he's arguing, like having a full-on like verbal argument with the mirror. He's like yelling at it and being like, what are you talking about? Who are you? What are you doing here?" That kind of stuff. And it's really hard to watch. I don't know if your dad was like this in a respect. I remember you saying he was very cheerful at one point.
Yeah, he was definitely my wife said that it seems like he's always on E.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, but no, I mean, my dad was a very particular type of guy and very unique. So he never like argued with himself in the mirror like Travis Bickle, but he he would get very angry, but for the most part he became very scared of everything. Scared of everything.
Yeah, so it's hard to watch. I don't recommend this for you, and honestly,
No,
I don't recommend
it for
this
10 years. I don't know if I need to see it.
It's a good point. I don't know if I'd recommend this for a lot of people. It's very good, and honestly, I could see it winning best documentary. It's really well done. It's just fucking hard to watch, man. By the end of the movie, he's reverted to being spoon fed by her. Right at first, she's trying to help him live his day-to-day life, like, "Oh, you have kids, and oh, we've been together for so long," almost like that movie 50 First Dates, where like, they start off every day reminding who he is, and by the end he's just a shell of himself. And it's a bludgeoning for the viewer that I don't think a lot of people would look forward to. So your mileage may vary. Maybe you're a completionist like me and you want to watch this. It's on Paramount Plus, like I said. You can watch it, and it's really good. Just be prepared for some unpleasant times.
Maybe if like you have family members or parents and you're afraid this might happen, I'll give you a little idea of what it could look like, or maybe you're at the very early stages of it. I don't need to see this just because it's up for an Academy Award. That's not enough to make me want to watch it. And
it is very good. I have to give credit where it's due.
You know what else is really good, Brian? A movie that's being tragically overlooked, criminally overlooked. And the U.S. release was 2023, so this is in contention for the Balties. Didn't get
love
of why it's not up for best foreign language or the best international feature, and that movie is Rebel. Right. Has anyone heard much about Rebel?
No.
I have my boys Greg Serzovasti, Eric Holmes, and Bruce to thank for bringing Rebel to my attention. They've been talking to me about it for a few months now through emails and texts. Like, you're gonna love Rebel. You need to see Rebel. And boy, were they right. It's a portrayal of a family torn apart over a little Muslim boy's future. But that isn't even the story until halfway through this 2 hour and 15 minute masterpiece. Is it a masterpiece? I think it might be a masterpiece. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah are the two directors. The big Western release, I should say. And it's not a Western movie, but the movie that we might be familiar with over here that they did was the Bad Boys movie, Ride or Die. I think that's the one that's called. Yeah. They're also actors, and they should be better known just from watching this movie. Bad Boys for Life is what they directed, which I haven't seen. So maybe it's great because some of the action sequences in Rebel are great. So Rebel, I took zero notes. I watched this at my house and I took zero notes. And here's the
where did you what streaming service did you watch this on?
Amazon. I rented it on Amazon, and I gotta say that Nick Eats Cake, he had us watch one recently, and he was very concerned of us watching on Amazon because I want people to watch this movie, but the subtitles do drift, and it's not great. And sometimes they're like a full second two behind, and it does.
Yep.
Yeah, that's upsetting.
I had that happen with me too on Amazon, actually.
So I'm such a nerd. I reported it to Amazon and said, "Hey, look, this is a great movie. Please try and fix this." So the story, and it's
by the way, sorry to interrupt. A lot of sites, Wikipedia and IMDb, are identifying this as a 2022 film. So if you're looking for it, just know that is the case.
Yeah, it's identified that, but it didn't get U.S. release until 2023. So
I'm really trying to help people find it.
There are a number of Rebels out there, as you might imagine. Rebel Wilson will be the first thing that pops up on IMDb when you're looking. So, and this is all based on inspired by true life events. So, the story follows our lead, who is angsty. He's living in Holland, and he's hold on.
It says here Belgium.
Belgium, sorry. Well, I mean, isn't Holland and Belgium?
No, Holland is Netherlands.
Yeah, I need to visit that part of the world so it can be locked in my brain because I get them all confused, the fingers and all that stuff up there. I've been to Denmark, but I haven't been in the other places, so I still get very confused with all that. And Amsterdam is in Holland. Yes. Okay.
I believe so.
So he's in Belgium. Yes. And he's got a bit of a career as a musician and like a rapper. He speaks French. And he's got like a motorcycle posse, and he's doing okay. But he's seeing, and
sounds pretty sweet.
He's Muslim, I should say. And his mom, he's got a little brother, and he lives with his mom and his little brother. And he's seen all the violence that's happening with ISIS and with all the Middle East and the terrorism that's going on. And he feels complacent. He feels like he's not doing anything. He feels like he's not doing enough. And he decides to say fuck it. He gets one thing leads to another, and he kind of gets forced out of the country because of some drugs and some things that he was doing that weren't so great, that weren't on the up and up. So he's like, you know what, this is God telling me to go do something. So he's over there in Syria helping, just helping like bodies, people that are like dead and like dying in the streets, and being kids that are being wounded, and he's bringing them into hospitals and he's helping them. And he feels like he's doing something, and he's making a difference. All of a sudden, this is like, the end of the first act. So this a bunch of trucks pull up, and they just say, "Hey, we're taking the Muslims who are, helping you, who are part of this effort, and they're coming with us." And next thing you know, he's like rounded up, and he's being brought to the center of the terrorist group, where he is, I don't want to say radicalized, because he never fully goes along. At least that's the story that they follow here. Like, he's never radicalized. He never goes along, but he's part of it. And they bring him on as a video journalist or videographer to shoot video of all of their propaganda. And that's how he survives. And that's how he gets through. He's gifted a wife at one point in the movie.
That's
and
nice.
This is a pretty good deal.
We see all of this, and it's not shot like a documentary. It's cinema, but you get a sense that you're really seeing stuff that you wouldn't otherwise see. And it's heartbreaking. It's fascinating. It's riveting. And then one of the most interesting choices that these directors make is since he's a musician, since it's already been kind of set that he, has made music videos and whatnot, this will go into music video mode. Few different times where everything becomes surreal. He's singing to the camera, and at one point he's hung upside down early in the film while everything else is happening around him, and it's very cinematic and interesting to watch, if not a bit jarring and you kind of lose your balance there for a minute, but it works. I think the movie would have worked without those elements, but it absolutely works with those elements, and maybe even more so. And it's just a really, really good. And I've never lived over there. I don't know just how accurate it is, but to hear them tell it, like, this is an accurate story about a man's experience. So
what did you think?
Highly recommend Rebel. It's pretty much a 5-star fucking movie, unless I read a bunch of stuff saying that they sensationalized everything and it's like the One Love version of Bob Marley's life.
Did it convince you to join ISIS?
Yes, I'm all in now.
Oh,
it is very one-sided, as you'd imagine. They don't even trying to show ISIS's side of things. It's just them being fucking gangsters for the sake of Allah.
You're saying there should have been fair to ISIS?
I don't know. I mean, even with ISIS, like I want to kind of understand, and I think they do this in this movie. I want to understand what would draw someone beyond, religious fanaticism, and I think that they do that with this movie. And a lot of it.
I think the same reason people are storming the Capitol. I think there's some similar DNA in there.
A lot of it is just young male angst too, and like, the opportunity to live something, because unless you've ever been a young male, I don't know if you really know how much fucking angst there is in you.
And how stupid.
I feel like 22-year-old Andy would have joined ISIS.
So primitive and so stupid, and it's just so destructive. But I mean, it's just depending on your DNA makeup.
I remember learning in sociology, or was it criminology class I took in college, that if you incarcerated all males ages 15 to 25, crime would be reduced 95% in the United States.
That makes absolute sense.
95% of crime would be eliminated.
Let's try it.
Like literally on drugs at that age. And I remember, when I was doing camp on a regular basis before Atticus came along, and I would have to tell like new counselors, like, these teenage boys that we're going to, we're gonna have 10 of them in our cabin, like, they're literally, because I got it from Dr. Drew, they're literally on drugs. The amount of hormones and testosterone going through the brain that they're just learning how to deal with right now. So they're gonna make some odd choices and be a little bit weird. But yeah, this came out in the United States September 15th, 2023. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, I'm considering it a 2023 release. So that is, because I mean, this is a vaulty fucking movie. This is a great movie.
Wow, it's gonna be competitive vaulties this year.
It really is. Like, when going back to the deep draft, this is a deep year for movies. There's nothing that really stands out like his all-time favorite, I don't think. And I have no idea what my number one is still. But there's a lot to choose from. I could easily come up with a top 20 that I would highly recommend.
Sweet. Hey, speaking of top 20, top 5 time coming up next. We will do top 5 musical biopics after this. Hey, we're back. Time to count down top 5 biopics. I assume, Anderson, you texted me this just to delight me.
I mean, it makes sense because we got the old Bob Marley One Love.
Oh, that probably has nothing to do with it. Yeah, sure.
What was your criteria?
I knew that there's going to be some good ones in the fold, and I could have done a top 10 pretty easily, I think.
Avery, I'm glad you sarcastically asked what the criteria was. I purposefully, Anderson, avoided obvious choices there in doing research. I'm sure you came up with a lot of the lists that I came across, and a lot of the same films are represented. A lot of obvious choices, a lot of ones where you're like, all right, yeah, what else? So I'm going to try and dig a little deeper and do 5 films that maybe don't come up on the show as often, aren't mentioned on lists as often, do real service here for the listener.
Mm-hmm.
And mine, I as much as I love the film you assigned me, Velvet Goldmine, mine will all be actual biopics about the person. These will not be, well, it's kind of supposed to be Kurt Cobain. No, these are actual people.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the biopic.
Her Smell's not making a appearance.
Her Smell's a great movie, but no, it is not making an appearance.
It's Courtney Hall, so it's supposed to be. Supposed to be Courtney Love.
That said, number 5 for me. Since we were assigned a TV movie, I figured why not include one? Yes.
I'll refute everything you just said with my number 5 when I get there. So, okay, go ahead.
Well, there's nothing to refute. I'm telling you my criteria.
Refute! I'll tell you why your criteria is wrong.
You know, we'll get some emails this week about your behavior.
Okay, let me see your face. Look at the smirk. Look at how happy you are. You get so happy when I become unhinged and look like an ass. That's your arsenal. Like that's how you do warfare. You do. Like if we were like debating,
I'm all psyops.
You would absolutely win, I would think, because like my hair would be all askew. I'd be sweating and screaming, and you'd be like,
you're Zoya from Glow, and he's Betty Gilpin.
I just barely remember. I barely remember the reference. God, I love that show. Why'd they have to go away, Glow? Why couldn't you renew Glow, you fucks? What was it, Netflix or Prime? Who are we mad at?
Netflix. It's because they need a $300 million Gal Gadot picture no one saw.
Glow was so good. Was that Netflix that fucked that up? I thought that was Disney.
No, Netflix.
With the Gal Gadot?
Okay. Yeah, that abortion. That and the two Chris Hemsworth. What was it? Some terrible nonsense.
I don't know. All right, back to your number 5, Brian. I'm sorry.
Number 5 for me is a TV movie that might have been one of the best TV movies I've ever seen. Not intended to be a TV film, but was a little too gay for the Hollywood mainstream. Talk about Behind the Candelabra from 2013, the biopic of Liberace and his lover. It's Scott Thompson, maybe? I forget who it was. I didn't write it down. Played by Michael Douglas and Ben Damon, Matt Damon, directed by Steven Soderbergh. This was, I read up on the background of this project, Behind the Candelabra, and it was originally intended, it went to film festivals. It was intended to be a theatrical release, feature film, and the whatever it was, the omnipresent gay content was a little too much for the U.S. studios. So it was released in theaters throughout the rest of the world, but not here in the U.S. It was an HBO film, had a theatrical run for award season, but didn't garner any Oscar nominations. You saw this, yes?
I think I did. I don't really remember, but I think
it's very good.
If I had to guess, I saw it, but it obviously didn't have the impact that it did on you.
I actually saw this more than once.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to believe. I would think that there's some. It's hard to believe that we live in a day where they're like, no, it's too gay. We can't release it here in the United States. I get that. Like, there's parts of the country that wouldn't respond.
This was just 10 years ago, man. That's crazy.
Oh, it was that long ago, but still. I mean, I think that it would do well in like certain markets. I mean, yeah, you don't have to. Sorry, Alabama, but you don't have to lead in Alabama. I mean, I think that you could do New York, the West Coast, right?
I would play poorly in certain, like Utah, for example, like very religious, probably not so friendly to homosexuality.
So you don't have to go wide, but you can still.
Yeah,
I mean, gay marriage was legalized that year, so it was a different.
I guess we've come a long way. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
That said, this is a really good movie, a really good biopic. Michael Douglas crushed it. Although I did think of you, Anderson, in watching some of the gayer when I was doing research, and Michael, apparently Liberace was I made myself laugh because I was going to say pole smoker, but he was a smoker. He was notorious for smoking a lot during his life, and the idea that well, this is a part of his life. Yes.
I love that Brian will say that, and he's still somehow the victim.
Calm down, and not portraying that would be.
I said he'll make the pole smoker joke, and yet he's still somehow the victim.
How did he do so?
No, he made the pole smoker joke.
Yeah.
And somehow he's still like the victim in the eyes of the
the overall thing. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my vitriol comes when he's making usually it's about people with darker skin that really gets me angry. And I'm like, I don't even know how to deal with you, Brian. But then you're the victim. You're the little,
I don't know what you're talking. I'm feeling
Don't you get enough victimhood with the old brain cancer?
Yeah, you think I would, but here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he was, he had to portray him smoking, but Michael Douglas, keep in mind, had just gotten over a softball cancer. Yeah. So that was apparently a stumbling point.
So and he didn't smoke in the movie, right?
I think they had some, and it may have been digital, but that was early on a stumbling point in the negotiations. Robin Williams was originally supposed to play Liberace, but something happened to them.
Something. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Obviously, if it's a health thing and you have to go with this guy because he's right in every other way, yeah, you can't be mad at them for not having smoking in there. But if you're not having people smoking like in the mid 50s because you don't want the PG-13 rating or whatever, it's just it kind of takes because I think of movies, and I think a lot of us do, like, as the closest thing we're ever going to have to like time travel, right? And I want it to be as accurate as fucking possible. And if
I
you're
feel like it seems like they should have some sort of exemption for
Yeah, I know,
a historic. I get if you're showing it today and it's contemporary, but if it's a historical movie,
Yeah.
it's
I
kind
don't
of
know if it,
ludicrous.
I don't know if it affects the rating, but I have seen
it does. It
several.
absolutely.
I've seen several examples. Like they'll show like the R rating, and it'll say strong sexual situations or whatever. I've seen historical smoking.
Oh, it does say historical.
I've seen that a number of times. Yeah,
Interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen the historical smoking.
historical smoking.
Historical smoker, that guy. Historical pole smoker, as Brian would say.
Anderson, why do you have to go there?
His little homojokic joke.
That's a bit of an obvious joke.
Number 5 for me is a very recent movie, but I could not allow myself not to put this fucker on the list because I love this movie. Didn't realize how much I loved it until after the fact. Kept going
Is it
back.
One Love?
It is weird.
I know, just left it off.
Story. This is about a real guy. However, the movie is absolute bullshit. So,
No, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Have some other movies that aren't technically about the people, even though they obviously are about the people and they're exceptionally accurate in many, many ways. This one is about the actual guy, but is not accurate in any ways, really. Very few ways, I should say. But if you have still not taken the plunge to see Weird, the Al Yankovic story, I thought it came out 2023. No, 2022. No.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, sounds right.
What?
It would have been last year. I mean, whatever, 22.
Did it make an appearance on the Volties? I can't remember. I would imagine. All right. Well, anyways, I absolutely love this movie, and Paul directed it, and I highly recommend it. And it is my number 5 favorite movie that is a music doc, or not, no, music biopic ever.
Well done. Yeah, you look and see if it's on our Volties. I will do number 4, a film that, considering how much I loved this movie and saw it many times on VHS, for God's sake, in my teenage years, it rarely gets talked about on the show, and I'm going to put it number 4, Backbeat. Backbeat, the Beatles biopic from 1994, directed by Ian Softly. He's the director of Hackers and K-Pax, amongst others, starring Stephen Dorff, Ian Hart, as I believe they're Stuart Sutcliffe and John Lennon. And this is the story of the early Hamburg era Beatles, where they got their chops before the Beatlemania broke across the country of UK and also across the world. This is the Beatles becoming the Beatles, I guess you would say. Interesting gambit on their part, the filmmakers' part, to have a soundtrack that was entirely made up of like Beatles cover songs. I mean, songs the Beatles famously covered, but recorded by contemporary musicians. So they're covering the Beatles, covering other artists. It worked weirdly, and Backbeat was seen multiple times in the theater, and like I said, owned on VHS in the 90s by me.
So you're saying you liked it?
It was very important in my life.
I think I saw.
You ever seen Backbeat?
I think so. I think you assigned it actually.
Actually, I might have.
Yeah, feels about right.
The VHS cover is brutal. I
It's
just Googled it.
There's a lot wrong with the movie. It's not perfect.
Speaking of a movie that's not perfect, but it's close. It was a revelation when it came out in 1996. I absolutely love the Scott Hicks movie about pianist David Helfgott called Shine.
Oh, I have that on my list number 3.
Oh, okay. You want to just hop on here with me?
Yeah, I love Shine.
Cool,
In fact, for such a good movie, we rarely discuss this movie on the show.
Yeah, I guess there's just not too many places where it could, fit for the type of list that we do. But this is a movie that deserves to be talked about a lot more than it does.
Jeffrey Rush won the Oscar that year for Best Actor. It's written and directed by Scott Hicks. And yeah, it's this true story of the piano prodigy David Helfgott, who suffers a mental breakdown after years of abuse by his father.
Yeah, and he's somewhat on the spectrum, you'd say, and he kind of wanders in off the street, all based on a true life story, and no one really even knows who he is or what's going on. And then they learn that he is this pianist phenom, and the story goes from there. And it's a human story, it's a musical story, and it's from all accounts a very accurate story about this man, and somebody who I knew nothing about going into this movie. I saw it at least a couple times in the theater. And I think it was up for like Best Picture. He won Best Actor, like Brian said, and it's just
he beat out like Billy Bob Thornton for Sling Blade. Like it was a good year.
He's still like, where's he been? Where's that Jeffrey Rush been? He's in a lot of stuff that I don't watch. Yeah, he doesn't work that often. It looks like he was in Pirates back in 2017. Pirates, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Brian. Then he was in
What is that?
5 episodes of Genius, Storm Boy, which I don't know, and then he's got 3 on The Precipice. So he's got 3 that are in pre-production.
Seems selective.
Yeah, very selective. But he's one of those actors. Whenever you see him, you know him, you recognize him, or you don't, because he's such a chameleon, and he's one of the great working actors we have. We just don't see him enough.
Yeah, he's great. I think this has been the first time I really took note of who he was, which is crazy because he probably was 40 years old or somewhere around there when he did this movie. But yeah, this is a movie that feels like homework. Like if we're telling you, guys, Shine is really good, and like you look at it, you look at the poster, you look at the story, you're like, fuck, I don't want this. It's actually really good.
Shine is actually the first big thing that he did. I'm looking at his at his IMDb page, and like he has very little before Shine. He's got like maybe 8 credits before Shine, and they're all like TV Repairman and a short. He was in a number of shorts and something called 12th Night. Yeah, he wasn't in much at all. So Shine, they kind of found him out of the blue. I'm sure there's a story there that I should probably have. We should probably both have that, how they landed on this unknown actor to play such a pivotal role in the movie. But he was doing a lot of herky jerkiness, and he was in character to an extent that you would not recognize him, at craft service, I don't think. And I don't know, he might have some problems doing some of that stuff today, some of the wild gesticulations and whatnot, but it worked back then.
It's interesting. I never, not never, I should rephrase. I didn't notice as much on the spectrumness of the character as it was he had suffered a mental breakdown and was suffering the effects. But I suppose it could be both.
I think it was a combo of the two. Moving on to my number 3, Brian, and this is a movie that also does not get talked about nearly enough, and I absolutely love 24-Hour Party People. Have you seen 24-Hour Party People?
I've only seen parts of it. This is about Joy Division.
Oh, no, that's Control. Joy Division is involved, but it's more about Tony Wilson and him setting up Factory Records and the Manchester music scene. It's all played brilliantly by Steve Coogan, and it's just fun and popping, and it has this frenetic pace to it that never lets up. And if you like that music, and if you like that time in the UK and in Britain, like it's fantastic. It's very 90s. It feels like very 90s, even though it's 2002. But I love me some 24-Hour Party People, and it plays like a documentary in many, many ways. And I highly recommend that 24-Hour Party People. So many.
Steve Coogan breaks fourth wall. He talks to the camera. I've seen.
He does, because like he's doing TV shows, and it's great. It's very, very good. Watch it. Watch 24-Hour. Hey, Avery, do you know where 24-Hour Party People might be streaming?
I can look at that. Oh, it's streaming on Amazon Prime.
Back to the hey, enjoy yourself some 24-Hour Party People.
I should really enjoy that. I feel like this is a movie I would like.
I think you would. I think you would like it. You might not like all the musical acts that they portray, but I don't know if it's all your style music. I spent some time in my youth listening to pretty much everyone who was covered in this movie.
Fair.
Coogan crushes it. Steve.
All right. Avery, I don't want to button hook you, but let's take a break. Let's do the Amazon purchases and come back with the rest of our lists after this. All right, let me get right into it if that's okay with you. Avery, sorry to button hook you again. Here are the interesting and notable purchases made on Amazon this week. Someone got themselves a Schwinn Fitness recumbent bike. Someone Probably the same person. Got a TP Link outdoor access point and TP Link Omada. You say Omada, I say Omada. Let's call the whole thing off. Hardware controller were both purchased. Probably the same person. True Lux hybrid golf shoes. Brother super high yield toner. Royal should be. I would think this is a canine, but it just says Canon. I'm gonna say canine. Royal canine.
I'm gonna go with you,
feline.
Brian. I think you're right.
I'm gonna say there's a bit of a typo. Digestive care cat food. Simoin.
Hey, maybe it is Royal Canin for the cats.
Interesting. Simoin, curtain rods, Chef Man, multifunctional digital air fryer plus. Fitbit Inspire health and fitness tracker was purchased. Someone got themselves some coffee, Pete's coffee to be specific, dark roast espresso pods, and Nespresso Virtualine Melozio coffee pods were also picked up. Anchor 7-in-1 charging station, Spark Pod rain showerhead, and a Hibant thickness rain showerhead were both picked up this week. Purina critical nutrition dog and cat food, apparently good for both. Shiatsu neck and back massager, April air replacement filters were purchased. Someone got themselves a Franklin Sports right-handed baseball mitt. Is it going right hand or is it for right-handed people? Who knows?
That's a good point. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
seriously,
I think it's probably
right-handed-
for the right hand if there's
probably for the right hand. Is what I'm
Yeah.
guessing. 24 DI.
Oh, that must be
Diacy.
so confusing and upsetting if you're like in that department. Like, how do we
Hey, need a right-handed mitt. Okay, for the right hand.
you got to get a good picture and make sure you don't take it in the mirror.
We've exhausted. That's a good point. Yeah, we've exhausted this bit. It's 24. Diasy, DIYASY, Easter gift bags.
What you do is
Sports.
you would say right-handed mitt for left-handed players. That's what you have to write in there. That'll fix it.
That sounds needlessly elaborate.
Nope, it's good.
Go
You know,
Sports.
really elaborate is one of the lines in groupers, and you never even tipped your cap to me. And it was the tip of the cap to you.
Did I not notice that at the time?
I don't know if you've noticed it to this moment. I don't know, but I wrote
Yeah.
that in there for you.
Wow, an Easter egg, if you will.
Yeah, she says needlessly elaborate, and you
I must have noticed that at the time. There's no
Thanks,
way
man.
I'd not noticed
thanks for
that.
putting that in your movie for me.
Although my mind was drifting quite a bit during that film.
Such a ball.
Go Sports shuffleboard and curling game. The gluten-free cookbook was purchased. Propel powder packets were picked up. Laozi, rechargeable heated socks. Buffalo Bills hot short shots. I think those are like little like meat sticks. And finally, I'm gonna nail the post on this. Old Spice men's body wash. Boom.
Crushed.
You're welcome.
Here are the movies that were clicked through the life. Somebody very, very wise, somebody very, very smart got themselves dinner in America. Oh yeah.
Smart.
God damn. See, last year was easy. It's just like I saw Dinner in America, and I'm like, all right, that's my favorite movie of the year. I don't care what else comes out. There's nothing that's going to eclipse Dinner in America. Justice League, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1. Same thing with that one. When I saw that, I was just like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen, and nothing will ever come close to it.
Fair.
What is that? A TV show? What's happening with Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1?
I'm assuming it's a TV show.
Anatomy of a Fall was clicked through. Smart. People seem to like that or were okay with the ending more than I was. I think I was kind of on my own out there being upset with the ending more than others were. And I'm jealous of you because I want to love that movie. Wonka was clicked through as well as I love that Wonka. The Fugitive. The One-Armed Man. The One-Armed Band of Outsiders will click through the Criterion Collection, as well as Clue 1985 Collector's Edition. If you're a collector,
Ooh.
they got Clue 1985. And doesn't that make it less of a collector's edition when they write collector's edition on it? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you would think, but here we are.
That you know what I mean? Kind of like with the rookie card, where they're like, boasting about it being a rookie card. How about if it's just a rookie card?
Yeah, that's kind of like what makes it collectible is the fact that no one else is collecting it.
Right. Unless there's extra things on there. I don't know what that code is because I'm so not a digital media type of person. I don't know what that. Maybe collector's edition will have extra things on there for you. Either way,
I would
thank
hope
you
so.
much. Thank you very much for clicking through. Very appreciative. And it is very necessary for this show to continue because my vitriol for Bryan is real. There's no way I would ever show up to ever see this man if I was not being paid.
Well, you didn't show up today to see me.
That's true because Biden was already out your way seeing you.
Hey, Joe.
What?
I waved in my window to see him.
Oh, hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
When do you think he drove last?
That's a very funny question.
I thought you were going to say, listen to this show.
No, I would never say something absurd.
When did Joe Biden operate a motor vehicle last?
Yeah. I
bet not a golf cart like around his property. Wow, I bet it's been years because all the images I have of him are like riding a bike.
Well, that's just because he fucked up and everyone wanted to like meme it, right? That's something that
yeah, but I'm saying he was on the bike.
Yeah, he was on the bike. Two wheels is harder to drive than four, though, Bri. So
when do you think his kids took his license away? Like, hey, Grandpa, it's better for everyone.
Show's getting very political, and I'm
not political. Oh, the guy's old.
I closely follow the One Love political spectrum.
One Love, One Heart, One Destiny.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How awful is that they put guns in the fucking equipment to get it over there for the peace concerts?
For the peace concert.
What's worse, that or the assassination attempts by the poor kid that went very awry?
But if he didn't have that peace concert, technically there'd be less deaths.
I think they'd find a way.
Probably. You're probably right.
The CIA is resourceful.
Back to the program.
All right, welcome back. Time to wrap up and conclude our top 5 music biopics. I'm going recent, not as recent as you, Anderson, for number 2.
Can I? Yes. Okay. Well, never mind. Go ahead.
What do you have to say?
I failed to mention that Michael Winterbottom directed that 24-hour Party People. We're still trying to push people over the edge. Michael Winterbottom gets the most out of Steve Coogan. He's the director that's been working with him on those Trip movies, which I think I've seen one. I need to see the others, but it's kind of like My Dinner with Andre, but longer form. You seen any of those, Avery or Bryan?
I have not seen I've seen Andre, but not
I haven't seen it.
You seen My Dinner with Andre there, Avery?
I have not.
You should probably see it then.
You're gonna get some emails saying why so mean to Avery.
I know.
That sounded like you were doing an impression of from the Deer Hunter.
The Guardian. All right.
Number 2 for me is a recent selection, but I was so pleased with how much better this was than I expected. And I'm talking about Rocket Man from 2019, directed by Dexter Fletcher. He's the director of Yes, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Eddie the Eagle, starring, of course, Taron Egerton as the titular Rocket Man. He plays Elton John, and I was so, like I said, pleased with how much better this was than I was expecting. Coming off the heels of Rocket Man, I was like, I can't do this again. I can't be the lone voice screaming into the void that this is not good and having all the idiots wash over me and carry it to Oscar glory. Well, I can't do this again. I can't fight this fight. And lo and behold,
do you hear how high his pedestal is? Do you hear how high the pedestal is as he's yelling down towards the idiots?
Yeah,
he has to explain everything to like.
Well,
and the tide is rising on the top of the mountain.
Yeah, he's so high up there. He really has to yell.
I know it was a guy you don't know, you guys, the pain that is me in a situation like that. Ironically,
I might, Bryan.
Rocket Man is nowhere near as revered as Bohemian Rhapsody, and so I must live the rest of my life sadly and quietly explaining to people like, no, this is the much better movie.
That's the no. It's the inflection of the no. If you're listening to this right now, push the little 15 seconds back or 30 seconds back or whatever, and just listen to his no, you're wrong. Here's what's really going on. That it's just it brings up such primitive rage.
Anyway, Rocket Man number 2.
No, you're wrong.
No.
Here's let me explain it to you. My small, poor little soul.
Oh, Brian's gonna love the taste of things.
I'm in. I'm excited for it.
Highfalutin.
Hey, I got something to sign, but I'm going to. It's a short week, bye. So we will lay off the assignment. I want to say that we're getting close to being caught up, but I still got to go back and audit, and that's like 2 hours of my life that I have not put in yet to figure out what we owe people to watch. So
why don't we just knock one out this week? Is that gonna work?
It's a short week, and I have 6 movies that I need to get to before the Vaulties here.
Yes, it is awards season, so
yeah.
yes.
So Primrose, yeah, it's less than an hour. We can knock that out, but we're gonna at least this week because we're recording this day late, so we're date later than we usually do. Plus, we got to get together next week and watch one. I'll watch along with the listeners. Hey, what do you think about? Somebody suggested we watch like something like Jurassic Park, like a big sexy movie with the listeners. What do you think about that? Something like
I had not ever considered that. Yeah, sure, can do.
We need to watch something next week.
Does it need to be good? Because
we're gonna watch something.
Like good is the enemy of our watch-alongs. But I'm open to. I'm open.
What if
to
you did like Jurassic Park 2?
Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, 3.
I don't know. I think we're gonna do it the 28th. Though I'm saying it right here, right now. 28th, Wednesday, the 28th. All right.
I'm busy.
We're gonna be watching along with the listeners. Everyone at the $10 and up level on the old Patreon over there. And we will start broadcasting at 5:30 as we always do, Pacific Standard Time. Oh, sorry, Pacific Daylight Time, Brian.
Nope. Yeah. Oh, it'll be no, because it's standard.
It's standard right now.
It's before daylight savings time.
I don't even get which one. How are we not saving?
I will go to my grave not knowing this.
Me too.
Oh, really?
Happily, yeah. I don't.
Wait. You realize we're not in daylight savings time, right?
I don't. No. I think we are. So. And we might be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So yeah, we start at 5:30, either PST or PDT, which Pacific time, and then we start the movie at 6:00 p.m. sharp Pacific time. So that's a lot of fun. We have a good time, and the listeners always make us laugh with their comments. Everyone watching along.
That is often the highlight.
I think it's got to be a bad movie if we've never seen it, or most people have never seen it. It can be an okay or a good movie, even a classic, if everyone's seen it, because we're going to be talking over it. And, it's not the greatest viewing experience. I still want to do Sleepaway Camp, but Brian gives me blowback on that. So
I'm down with Sleepaway Camp.
You see that light switch I sent you?
Yeah, it was very fun.
Very good. Yes.
Angela.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I request going forward.
There's a light switch. Actually, that gives away the movie. So never mind.
Yeah. / demand is that it not be a film we have not seen, because I spent way too much time during the Fanatic trying to decipher the plot.
Did you? There wasn't much of a plot. He was.
No, I'm saying I'm trying to follow along with what's going on.
Not much to follow along with. John Travolta is playing a man deep on the spectrum who has a unhealthy.
You think he was on the spectrum?
Deep. And he has a unhealthy fascination with a Hollywood star. I mean, that's it. And he's following him and stalking him. I mean, that's all you needed to know to watch that movie, The Fanatic, which was a fun watch along.
He pushes a housekeeper into a fountain.
You know what we're going to watch along with probably at one point is One Love. Eventually.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Avery, you'd have to show up for that one.
Another 420.
All right, number 2 for me is a movie that's clearly about 2 rock icons, and that is David Bowie and Iggy Pop. And I'm talking about Todd Haynes' 1998 masterpiece, Velvet Goldmine.
Ineligible.
I love this movie. In fact, it probably should be number 1, but because of it being possibly ineligible in some people's eyes, I slipped it to number 2. It is my favorite movie on this list of 5 that I have today.
It's a very good movie.
Is fantastic. I've never seen anything like it. It's exceptionally accurate. He went to great lengths to make sure that it was as accurate as possible. He's obviously a giant fan of this period of music.
All the way down to not naming the characters after people.
Well, I mean, he couldn't get David Bowie's estate to sign off on it, or David Bowie himself to sign off on it. Much like, and he'd already had a lot of practice doing that with Karen Carpenter, not getting the rights there. So he just did it with the Barbie dolls, if you recall way back with Superstar.
I remember your description.
And Todd Haynes was doing that again, but with actual actors. But Velvet Goldmine, 1998, I fucking love that movie. And Ewan McGregor crushes it as Iggy Pop, and Jonathan Rhys Meyers crushes it as the David Bowie character.
Agreed. That's really good. I liked it a lot.
Baby on fire. Dude, it turned me on a T-Rex. I didn't even know who T-Rex was. There's so much representation in that movie from the music of its time.
The glam era.
Glam era, Brian. Good shit in there. Hey, you seen the Velvet Goldmine? Yeah, you seen that?
It's on my list.
There's a very uncomfortable
very,
scene
very
where
long list.
Christian Bale starts beating off to a record.
It's at the top of my list.
You know
Watching it in the background.
those albums, those
I'm
the
watching
double
along.
albums you could open up.
The gatefold.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gatefold. Yeah, gatefold, Brian. Of course, you know what that's called. But yeah, there's a scene where like he's in his room and he opens that up and he's watching. He's looking at David Bowie. I'm just gonna say David Bowie, and he starts having his way with himself. And it's like, okay, I've seen enough, Todd. We can move on now. And continues. I'm like, all right, I've seen enough.
More comfortable bathtub scene in this movie or Saltburn?
Oh, Saltburn. But you know what? Watching masturbation scenes with family members is not something I'd recommend. I don't like it.
I watched that drop.
I watched Dinner in America with my little sister, forgetting that she dances around and then climaxes on her bed at the end of her dance routine.
And takes several photos of her vagina.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see the vajay, thank God. But when that's happening, I'm sitting there on the couch with my sister, and I'm like, sorry, Ashley, I forgot about this scene. It's just so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. I don't like it. Fuck. There should be like little warnings somehow, you know?
Warning: familiar masturbation.
Warning: tell sibling to leave the room.
I'd seen the movie 3 times at that point, and still. Yeah, but Brian Slade, played by Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who's obviously David Bowie, and then Kurt Wilde, who's obviously Iggy Pop. Fantastic fucking.
Number one for me.
I'm sorry, Toni Collette playing the wife, David Bowie's wife. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's right. I was saying number one for me. I don't know if we're gonna have a crossover here because I know we both love this movie, but in my quest to not have Walk the Line or Ray or any number of very obvious, very celebrated music biopics, Doug. Well, I don't know how deep you can dig when it's a Best Picture winner, but I'm going Amadeus from 1984, a biopic of Wolfgang Mozart Amadeus. And yes, he is played by Tom Hulce, directed by Milos Forman. You obviously know who that is. And F. Murray Abraham also stars in this as a best supporting actor.
Salieri.
Antonio Salieri is right.
Rife.
In his own words, the patron saint of mediocrity.
Rife with inaccuracies, evidently.
Oh yeah. Totally dramatized.
Even The Simpsons pointed that out a little bit in one of their episodes about how inaccurate it was. But yeah, I love this movie. Not on my list because A, I thought it was way too obvious, and B, rife with inaccuracies. I mean, it rivals Weird with its inaccuracies.
Enjoyable though.
Very enjoyable.
But you had to put it on your list.
You know what's weird? I don't know if I told you about this, Brian, right? But while watching this movie Amadeus, right 20 years ago or something, while watching Amadeus, it occurred to me that A Clockwork Orange was my favorite movie of all time. Like it just became crystal clear, like the clouds parted, and I was like, oh, yeah, of course, Clockwork Orange is by far and away my favorite movie. It took me Amadeus. The music.
There's no connection because he is a big fan of Ludwig von Beethoven, and this is about his predecessor Mozart.
Oh, so there's a connection right there, right?
Well, I guess a very loose connection.
It'd be like watching a documentary on the Boston Red Sox, and it occurs to me that Damn Yankees is my favorite musical.
That's appropriate.
Esoteric.
So you're watching Fever Pitch.
Very, very esoteric. No, not Fever Pitch. Fever Pitch was on when I was at that facility not too long ago, Avery, the one that you and I both go to. And they have inappropriate.
Oh yeah,
Fever
Sperm
Pitch.
Bank.
You know who's in Fever Pitch? That makes a giant. He's like the star of the movie.
Jimmy Fallon.
No, the old mayor, the buffoon. What's his name? Drawing a blank.
The old mayor, the buffoon.
The New York mayor. What's his name?
Giuliani.
Giuliani. Yeah, Giuliani is like a huge star in that movie. Like he's the hero.
Hasn't aged well.
No, it hasn't. Oh,
he's
they did.
My hero in Borat too.
Curb Your Enthusiasm did a little bit on Giuliani and his hair dye melting on his face. Did you see that? Yeah. Number one for me is Selena. I'll leave it out there.
You do love Selena.
It is my favorite. It's no secret. I'm not ashamed of loving Selena as much as I do. And Selena was a revelation. I did not know anything about Selena. Being here, a kid, punk rock kid in Southern California. Selena was really never pushed on me I know that she's, considered almost like Mother Mary in parts of Texas, but she had eluded me until I saw Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo as she's known, portray her in the 1997 Selena. And boy, was I on that train for that ride. And I continue to be. I saw it not too long ago. I saw it probably like 3-4 years ago, and it holds up for me. I love it. I love the soundtrack. I love the score. I love everything about that movie. I love the performances. I hate the woman who killed her. I love me some Selena.
Should we do Amadeus for watch along?
Bitty bitty bum. No, it's like 4 hours long. Bitty bitty bum bum. Oh my God, I love that Selena. All right, that's all. That's all I have to say. Now, Velvet Goldmine, I like that movie better. Just a little. Just a little. It's more made for me. I understand that. However, Selena's I think more accurate. So that's why it's on the biopic.
How odd.
One spot.
Do we have a listener top 5?
We do.
All
For me
right.
personally, La Bamba is a guilty pleasure. I do like that La Bamba. Little Lou Diamond Phillips.
I've not seen.
It is enjoyable. Enjoyable. For the listener list compiled by me. Number 5 for the listeners is Walk Hard.
Wait, that's not a biopic.
That's the listeners got a little fast and loose with it.
It's a fun movie.
It's
Nope.
it's
Number-
like what do you
It's a spoof of biopics.
Mockumentary.
Not
Number
a spoof,
4,
it's a spoof of biopics.
I feel like Anderson's going to be kicking himself when he hears this one. This
I
would have
think
been
it should be
up
my
there
number
for me.
5. I should, unless you're going to talk about something else. But
Number 4 is Love and Mercy.
oh no, because I loved half of that movie, but I didn't love the other half.
What? It's fucking great
It's
all the
really
way
great.
through.
I love how they played with the medium and they told a new version of what we have all come to expect with the music biopics. But I didn't love the Cusack stuff.
Oh, Cusack is great. Love and Mercy is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I
Number,
liked
th-
it.
number 3 for the listener list, Straight Outta Compton.
Very good, very good.
Number 2 is the aforementioned Amadeus. And then number 1 is going to be controversial. Far and away is This Is Spinal Tap.
No, that's fucking lame, stupid. Get out, get out. Not real. Made by a horrible, horrible piece of trash of a man. And no,
Do I need to see Spinal Tap?
it
seems
I feel like at
unenjoyable.
this point, like if you're just aware of the pop culture references, you kind of get it.
You should turn it up to 11. That's really funny. People love it.
It is funny.
I think it's kind of along the Mel Brooks thing. Like I think it was very funny at the time. It was new, but if you watch it now, you're just like, this.
Yeah, I don't think the jokes hold up as well in the context of it spawned a generation and a half of imitators.
I'm gonna do something I've never done before. This is speaking of controversy. This is highly controversial.
Tell Brian he's right.
I'm changing my.
Here we go. Here we go.
I'm changing my list.
Oh no.
And I'm moving weird because it's weird. It's just it's too recent and it's too goofy because it's so unreal. Even though it's like kind of an accurate portrayal of what Weird Al Yankovic would do. He spoofed his own life in his movie. I get it. It's very meta. However, I think that it would be a better list. And this is the list that I'm submitting to Avery for my official list on the old Patreon in the show notes. I'm making a tie at 5 with 2 very different biopics.
Not allowed.
But Straight Outta Compton is tied with Lords of Chaos. Love them both. Both deserve to be on the list. So that's what I'm doing here.
I'm surprised Lords of Chaos wasn't on there before.
I know it kind of should have been, but I'm like, I love that weird so much. But Lords of Chaos, guys, is not for the faint of heart. It's funny, it's engaging, but it's creepy as shit. Love that Lords of Chaos.
Is that? Oh shit. Which one is that?
It's the one with the Culkin and the
the black metal.
scene.
Yeah, that's good. That's an inspired choice.
Tyler Mayer assigned it to us. And Tyler, where you been? We owe you like 3 movies, I think. I cannot get a hold of you. You all right? Everything all right with you, Tyler?
Oh no. The next
Jeffrey.
episode is gonna be a tribute to his memory.
I hope not. Last time I talked to Tyler was July 2023. I wrote, what will it be? Hope you're well. That was in July 5th of 2023. And I've not heard back from Tyler. See, I tried. I
The show
tried.
is circling the drain. You're now
Really
reading
is.
you're reading old emails.
I really am doing that. Emails that I've sent to supportive listeners. Yeah, that's what this part of the show is. People love it. People want more.
All right, Avery, let's gamble and wrap her up.
Last week we gambled on Bob Marley. One Love. Oh, it was. I think I liked it. I think I
No,
liked
you
it.
did not.
more than
He's
I
great.
cared to admit.
He chews the scenery. I just wish he wasn't supposed to be Bob Marley because
It's a good bad movie.
I agree with that.
what was the beatdown scene? Like that was kind of out of nowhere. And I felt like that was obligatory because they had to, I think that maybe he did have these outbursts and they're like, we have to show that just to be
At
honest.
least once.
But I feel like that was probably peppered throughout his
You
life.
stole the $20,000 from Africa. Africa's supposed to be about the people, and then you're like, okay, I guess.
And what
I mean-
happened to Don? Like, did we see him again? Or is he just out? Is he get excised?
He was beaten to death.
He had a great retort though, a great comeback. I got shot 14 times for you.
It's true.
I think I'm entitled to a
He
little,
was a bit of a human shield.
little extra compensation. Last week,
him
Andrew-
admitting? I didn't even realize that he was admitting.
Yeah, oh yeah, he admitted
go.
that he did it. And he's like, I got shot 14 times. What do you want from me? And I thought, fair. That's fair. Anderson guessed 87.
Oh my. You
Brian,
doubled up the score.
Brian guessed 48. With 149 reviews. Actual Rotten Tomato score is 41, making
my.
Brian the winner. That feels low. I feel like this should be like 58 to 62.
Feels just
Right
not
there.
right.
I think it's all about the performance, him just not really embodying, and that's a big deal. If your movie is called Bob Marley, One Love, you better have a Bob Marley that's selling Bob Marley and not some different, completely different version.
Audience score is very high. I think the audience score is something like 96 or 97.
The audience
liking it.
themselves is very high.
That's true, including
He was-
the guy next to Andy.
I mean, much like Elvis, like I felt like Elvis wasn't like really embody Elvis. I know that's crazy, and people think that he absolutely did, but he was like a cooler version of Elvis. Elvis was much more. I know, Avery, you love the Elvis, but I'm telling you, if Austin Butler was Elvis back in the day, I would be.
I don't know. I do think of Tom Hanks in that movie at least once a week of him just going, the greatest snow job in the world. That'll just float into my head.
I love Tom Hanks, but he has a couple like that other one about him winning $5 or something when he was playing Walt Disney.
Walt
He
Disney.
just made me $20.
Oh God, I hate it so much.
The greatest snow job in the world. Oh, it's the worst. It's the fucking worst. And I still cried at that movie. God damn it. Okay.
Isn't that the worst when you cry when it still gets you and it doesn't deserve it?
Oh, but I still love the movie in spite of its flaws. I might watch this and One Love back to back. This week we're gambling on Drive Away Dolls.
I don't know what the fuck is that?
The new Coen brothers or just Coen brother?
Coen brother. They split up.
Oh, is this with Kristen Stewart?
No, but it feels similar. This is the one with Margaret Qualley, and Coleman Domingo's in this.
Damn it. I don't fucking know.
It's a scant hour 27,
Let me look it up real quick.
sub 90.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's because this is it's doesn't seem like his type of movie, or maybe it does. I don't know. It's
The trailer doesn't seem like him.
I don't know what to make of the Coens ever since they broke up, and it upsets me.
Is Matt Damon in this?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen a trailer for it. Okay, yes.
So do you remember when Ethan, like it was not him, but he wrote like a scathing review of the of Joel's last movie that was up for all those awards, the horrible Othello or whatever it was.
Oh, Macbeth. Jesus Christ. I'm so
And
mad I
that's why
watched
they
that.
work so well, because like Ethan's making these kind of cute little movies, and Joel makes these serious, like, and when they work together and they can combine the two cohesively, it's like nothing you've ever seen. But if
It's
they're
the
just
salty sweet.
it's like Ween. It's like why I love Ween so much is because Gina is like a hippie and Diener is like a punk rock guy, but together they make this amazing. When Diener goes out on his own, it's just all hardcore punk rock, and when Giner's on his own, it's like the most hippie shit you could ever imagine. But together, oh yeah, salty sweet, like you said.
Like us.
Maybe I can watch. What was it? Was it Macbeth? It wasn't Macbeth, was it?
Yeah, it was Macbeth.
That's how much I hated that movie. I couldn't remember which Shakespearean atrocity it was. But
Fuck,
maybe
I wish I could take that out of my brain.
wonder
Wait,
if
was it Macbeth?
was it?
Yeah, with Denzel.
That was Macbeth. I thought it was Othello.
So it was Othello too.
No.
Maybe we're just thinking that because he's black.
Maybe racist.
No, yeah. it might
I mean,
be.
Othello's black, right?
Right,
Yeah,
he's
tragedy of Macbeth. 100%.
He's a Moor.
What if we were to watch a scene of Macbeth and then a scene of this one and then a scene? I wonder if it would Drive Away Dolls. I wonder if they would actually it would work. That'd be
You cross cut the two.
yeah, that'd be weird if they somehow worked. How,
Dude.
how genius would that be? They're making movies separately but together, and it actually does work. There's a thread there. Oh, that'd be fucking genius.
Macbeth was a fucking effort. Did you watch that?
Yeah, we had to. We kind of had to.
Yeah, it was,
For awards. Was it up for best pick? Remember the witch? I
I like the way it looked.
It's everything I hate about Hollywood. Everything.
The witch was in Poor Things.
Was she?
Yeah, she's the brothel owner.
Very important movie. Okay.
It was important to not see it.
All right, Getaway Girls. Drive Away Girls.
Drive away,
Drive Away.
dolls. Drive away dolls.
Dolls, yeah.
All right, I got an hour. I'm gonna nail this one.
I got a good number on 3.
Yep.
1, 2. Jack Hughes.
69.
86.
Oh wow.
Anderson staying in the 80s. All right, for Drive Away Dolls, Anderson gets 86, Bryan 69. Currently, there are no reviews.
Come on, you fuckers, get out there and do your jobs. Watch a goddamn movie and say thumbs up or thumbs down.
I think the saving grace of this movie, it was supposed to come out during the writer's strike in October. So it was not originally slated to be February, dump this in the theaters release.
No, I think it's going to be very, he's the Coen brother that I relate to more. So I think we're still learning though. We're still learning what these guys are doing on
True. All right, let me look at the listener art real quick. Well, listen. I don't know where you found this picture.
It's prescient.
It was on my phone, I guess, my private collection. But someone hacked and got it, so good for you.
I think now we have to do Jurassic Park because of it.
Oh, that's right. This is Jurassic Park. Good stuff, Jim. Jim Rutherford. There's not even like there's no words. It's just an image.
Just Brian about to suckle.
I think it's post suckle. I think he's got
might
the
be.
flow about him.
Is it post suckle?
You can see a little dribble on my side of my
Brian,
eye.
stop it. We're not that show. You don't have to be that graphic. I mean,
Home joking. Home joking.
We had the
All right, thanks, Jim Rutherford. Great listener art as always. Check that out, AndersonandBryan.com. And that is where you what?
With what I suggest, what you like the suckling of Corolla, it's not even that you derive pleasure from it in the sense that like you get the pleasure out of it because you know it's making him happy. That's the only reason why you do it. It's not like
he looks quite happy he looks quite happy in the photo
because it made him happy. Like he would do anything for it. He is Smithers.
That's right. My joy comes second.
So another Simpsons reference. What's going on? I haven't seen that show in years. Yeah, but yeah, he's your Montgomery Burns and you're Smithers and you do whatever.
Lights Out for the Territory is our featured artist this week. Check them also out, AndersonandBryan.com. Thanks to Jeffrey Covey for assigning us evening. It says promise here, but
I know because I'm stupid.
I believe it is Primrose.
It is. There's also a Japanese movie called Evening Primrose, and I think it's not related, but I could be wrong.
No. AndersonandBryan.com is the website where you can find our Amazon link if you're doing your shopping for movies or whatever. I appreciate you guys thinking of us and tapping that link and doing your shopping. Helps us out. Anderson and Bryan is on Instagram, Anderson and Bryan on TikTok, The Film Vault on Facebook and Twitter, The Film Vault podcast on YouTube. Thanks. There we go. Thanks, Giovanni. Not Mitch Burns, although you are missed, my friend. Mike Cole and Eric Kath. Appreciate you guys for all you do. Help the show. Watch along on the 28th is what you said?
Yeah, it's Wednesday the 28th. We'll get together.
Right.
It'll be a good time.
Sounds fun. Until then.
And then next week also we're going to have a little sit down. I think you and I and Avery can maybe mediate or just be there. Even though Avery gets accused of ganging up on you with me, which could be the case, but I mean,
am I catching strays?
You are catching some ricochets there. But yeah, we're gonna you have a week to think about why you like to engage, Brian. Why you like to be the victim. And I have
a week to think about it. Prepare defense.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want you to dig deep, and maybe like when you're taking the showers or drifting off to sleep, but like why do I feel comfortable in those victim shoes? What is this about?
Again, this feels like victim shaming.
I'm not shaming you. I'm trying to understand something. I'm taking full responsibility. Oh, I guess not.
No,
full.
no, you are not.
I'm taking I'm taking full ownership of me doing what I do. I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm just wondering why you like it so much and why you like to make more of it.
You're the abusive husband blaming the wife for beating her up.
No, it's real easy for you to go down that route. But
you know what obsessed me when you root against the Chiefs.
But what's that?
You know what obsessed me when you root against my team.
I mean, I'm not justifying, but if she's doing that just to upset him, I would say, like, why? Why are you doing that? Is that
feels like you're justifying?
I'm not justifying anyone who ever.
I can tell you've learned a lot.
I'm very curious. I want to explore. I want to figure it out why this 20-year. Now, it all started with that. Very, very much so. Like when we started back in the day, like I was very, very mean to you, and I did not.
You're outright hostile.
And I wanted you to stay away from me. And I was just, it was like shooing a dog away. Like I just letting you like stamping my feet, and like going like this, away, away. My dad used to pick up like fake rocks and pretend to throw them at the dogs. And if the dog had any abuse and had a rock thrown at it before, it would think that my dad was actually throwing a rock. And I wasn't hurting you. I was just trying to like scare you away from me so that I could be.
He was just trying to summon memories of abuse in your mind.
Yeah, that explains the man's mauling death.
What?
That explains the man's
can't even get it.
Mauling death by dogs.
My dad. He did not get mauled by a dog. So anyways, yes. But now here we are all these years later. I've grown to actually think you're okay. And
I'll take it.
I just can't do it. I've grown to absolutely love you, and you know that. But we got to get to the bottom of why you still want me to treat you with such abuse.
This is your fault, Lois.
Why is it Lois?
I don't know. Still thinking of some 50 housewife who's getting beat.
What about Linda?
I'm hurting Linda. You better to come at me like that.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week. And
until then,
we do it for Van Gogh. We do it for Van Gogh.